Latvijas un Kanādas ārlietu ministru paziņojums presē. Vispirms vārds Latvijas ārlietu ministrei Baigai Bražai. Viņa paziņojums sniegs latviešu valodā un pēc tam angļu valodā. Lūdzu, ministrs.
Labdien! Visiem sveiciens šeit ceros. Dear Canadian allies, great to see you all here. Thank you for your service. Un Anita, dear friend, we know each other for a long time. And šodien tiešām tā ir īpaša diena, jo kopš Anita kļuva par ārlietu ministru, viņas pirmā divpusējā vizīte Latvijā, viņa šeit ir bijusi kā aizsardzības ministre, jau 3 reizes, tā kā kopā 4. vizīte. Un, protams, mums ir īpašs gods apmeklēt un ciemoties šeit pie jums, mūsu sabiedrotajiem kanādiešiem. Kanādieši ir sabiedrotie, draugi, partneri, bet mēs ar Anitu esam arī, es teiktu, angliski laikam vislabāk var pateikt soulmates. Un šī te mūsu kopīgā misija sargāt Eiroatlantiskās telpas drošību, kas izpaužas kanādiešu klātbūtnē šeit, vadot NATO lielo daudznacionālo brigādi un strādājot kopā ar daudzām nācijām, vadot operācijas, nodrošinot ietvarnācijas statusu, investējot Latvijā. Tas viss, protams, apliecina to, ka NATO ir vienots, NATO ir spēcīgs un NATO ir gatavs atvairīt jebkurus draudus. Mēs arī ļoti novērtējam mūsu ekonomisko sadarbību. Protams, Air Baltics bija pirmais, kas nopirka jaunos bombardieru lidmašīnas, un mēs esam ļoti priecīgi ar tām lidot. Sevišķi manā darbā to darot, tas notiek ļoti bieži. Un tāpat mēs esam priecīgi par to, ka Kanāda ir pirmā valsts ārpus Eiropas Savienības, kur ir kļuvusi par SAFE, jeb Eiropas finansējuma mehānisma aizsardzībai partneri. Un mēs redzam iespējas attīstīt kopīgus iepirkumus, spējas, gan tā saucamajās cietajās spējās, bet arī, protams, dronu pretgaisa aizsardzības un citu autonomo sistēmu jomā. Mēs labi strādājam dronu koalīcijā, mēs esam partneri gaisā, uz zemes, jūrā un arī tehnoloģijās. Tāpat mūsu visciešākā sadarbība kiberaizsardzības un kiberdrošības jomā ir kaut kas tāds, kas ir unikāls pats starp sabiedrotajiem. Kopīgs threat hunting, jeb medības pret draudiem un pilnīga paļāvība vienam uz otru. Un mēs redzam, ka tas ir kaut kas vērtīgs un inovatīvs visai NATO, un citi sabiedrotie mācās no mūsu sadarbības. Tāpat Kanādas un Latvijas ekonomiskās attiecības gan divpusēji, tās pieaug vairāk kā par 80%, 18% pagājušā gadā, bet Eiropas Savienības un Kanādas tirdzniecība kopš CETA līguma piemērošanas ir pieaugusi par 75% preču tirdzniecībā un par 97% pakalpojumu tirdzniecībā, faktiski dubultojoties. Un tāpat mums ir liels potenciāls arī tālāk, to mēs arī šodien diskutējām. Un visbeidzot, nelokams atbalsts Ukrainai. Kanāda ir viena no valstīm, kas politiski, ekonomiski, militāri un visur citur starptautiskās organizācijās ir to nodrošinājusi. Tāpēc viss šis kopā, I can say we truly feel that Canadians are our soulmates. And we are committed and trusted allies. We are ready to do for Canada what Canada is doing for us. Canada's knowledge of Arctic, Canada's knowledge of the world, of the Western Hemisphere, transatlantic relationship is irreplaceable. So here, the leadership of the multinational brigade in Latvia is an example where others are learning from. So I thank our allies, Canadians, and I thank for your leadership, and we stand committed to be ever stronger. We are NATO, and we are stronger together.
Vārds Kanādas ārlietu ministrei, lūdzu.
Labdien, bonjour, good afternoon. Minister, my friend, thank you so much for your warm welcome and for Latvia's strong partnership with Canada. As you mentioned, this is my 4th trip to Latvia since 2022, so I'm averaging a trip a year, and I'll just say it is a pleasure to be back on Latvian soil to express Canada's solidarity with Latvia and, of course, with NATO in that context. And I'll say that Latvia has been an absolutely exemplary host to members of the Canadian Armed Forces and your families, and we're deeply grateful for that support. Et je tiens également à remercier le leadership de la brigade multinationale de l'OTAN en Lettonie, ainsi que tous les membres des forces armées canadiennes qui servent ici aujourd'hui. Donc peut-être je pourrais prendre un moment aussi de remercier tout le monde ici dans la salle. It's so wonderful to see the Canadian Armed Forces, having been the Minister of National Defence, having spent time with the Canadian Armed Forces, seeing the work that you do around the world, including here in Latvia. Our largest military operation outside of Canada is absolutely heartwarming for me, but also it gives me an opportunity to thank you so much for the work that you do, so far from home, but so important to Canada's work on collective defense and security. So it was for that reason that I so wanted to come here with you in this room today. I'll say that the visit to Camp Labrie, this is my first visit to Camp Labrie, it is a powerful symbol of Canada's long-term commitment to Latvia and to security on NATO's eastern flank. The new base, of course, honors Bombardier Patrick Labrie and reflects on what Canada and Latvia can achieve together. I was here, as I mentioned, back in 2023 as Minister of National Defence, and at that time, Canada and Latvia, and I was able to sign it, signed the roadmap for the expanded presence here in Latvia. Just 14 months later, Camp Labrie became operational. And so this is an example of the partnership that Canada and Latvia has, the partnership that is operating in action, delivering tangible results to not only our bilateral relationship, but to collective defense overall. Canada now has invested more than $500 million in Latvian defense infrastructure. And this morning, we marked the groundbreaking of new infrastructure projects totaling $100 million at the Lielvare Air Base, where Canada's tactical aviation detachment serves. So again, these are concrete investments in our shared security. And it's so important at this moment in time for the close diplomatic ties to yield those concrete benefits. Now, as I mentioned, Operation Reassurance remains Canada's largest overseas military mission, with approximately 2,200 troops deployed in support of NATO. And Canada's proud to lead the NATO multinational brigade, Latvia, alongside our allies, 14 in total, the largest multinational brigade level group, and really exemplifying the spirit that Canadians ourselves stand for: cooperation, coordination, working together for shared objectives. Those are truly Canadian objectives, and they're being exemplified right here in Latvia every single day. Like Latvia, Canada believes strongly in sovereignty and territorial integrity and a world where borders are not redrawn by force. And that is why we continue to stand firmly as NATO allies, stand firmly with Ukraine, and through Operation Unifier, Canada has trained almost 50,000, approximately 47,000 Ukrainian Armed Forces members. And since 2022, Canada has committed approximately $25.5 billion in support for Ukraine. Today, Minister Ārlietu and I discuss broader cooperation on regional security, Arctic security, resilience, defense industrial cooperation. Canada's a founding NATO ally. Our commitment to this alliance is unwavering. Et aussi aux membres des forces armées canadiennes ainsi que nos alliés et partenaires l'OTAN, merci pour votre soutien et votre engagement. C'est un grand plaisir et honneur d'être parmi avec vous aujourd'hui. I'll just say that I hope there'll be many more visits to Latvia, and again, I hope you'll join us in Canada as well so that we can re-emphasize the partnership on Canadian soil. One of the things that we could do when you come is to introduce you to so many members of the Canadian Armed Forces who one day will be coming to serve in Operation Reassurance. And so, Baiba, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup pour votre travail avec nous, mais aussi c'est un honneur d'être ici avec vous en Lettonie aujourd'hui.
Merci à toi, Anita.
Paldies, ministrs kundzei. Mums ir laiks jautājumiem. Lūgums izmantot mikrofonu, kas jums ir aizmugurē, nosaukt savu vārdu un identificēt, kurai no ministriem adresēt jautājumu. Lūdzu.
Alexander Welcher from the German press agency DPA. I have a question to the Latvian minister, referring to the drone incident we saw today in the Baltic airspace again. There was a drone shot down in Estonia, and the Estonians were referring to the very good cooperation with the Latvian side. If you could maybe a bit elaborate more on what exactly happened back then, how it happened, how it was detected, and the question also would be, since there was spotted a drone within the Latvian airspace and one was shot down in Estonia, the question, was it the same drone which passed maybe the Latvian airspace and then was shot down in Estonia? And referring also to your reaction afterwards, and also the Prime Minister and the President referring to the what you mentioned as a Russian disinformation campaign. This hasn't been the first time that you reacted on it, and this accusations from the Russian side have been publicly announced. Have there been any discussions, both with your Canadian colleague, for example, or within NATO, about what to do about these accusations and how to react on it? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. The full report is not available on what happened, so I will abstain from commenting on details on that. Quite clearly, the operation or the reaction was led by the Latvian Air Control Center, and that's how Estonian colleagues were informed, and that's how Romanian jets, our allies who implement Baltic air policing on behalf of NATO, were able to shoot it down. So we are deeply grateful to all the allies that are part of that. And so with regard to all the details, it will be our armed forces that will provide that information. Then on the Russian accusations, Russia already for a few weeks have been spouting complete lies that Baltic states and Finland provide our airspace for Ukrainian attacks on Russian legitimate objects within Russia. And that is not true. And that has been said directly to the Russian representatives by calling them both to the Foreign Ministry, but also through other sources. And today there was a new lie that was spread by the Russian External Intelligence Service, SVR, Служба внешней разведки, and which we indeed rejected and refuted completely. So it's not new. Russian disinformation is massive, and they try to use it to sort of justify their inability to defend them against legitimate Ukrainian self-defense efforts on Russian airspace. That's it. And we know there have been massive disinformation campaigns about also Canadian efforts of support to Ukraine. It's a new normal in the world. So my recommendation to everyone, don't believe Russian sources.
Paldies. Vai mums ir vēl kādi jautājumi? Lūdzu.
Aaron Eglitis from Bloomberg News. My question is to the Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs. U.S. Undersecretary for Defense Colby said the U.S. was pausing participation in the Permanent Joint Board on Defense because Canada failed to make credible progress on military spending. What does the U.S. want regarding Canadian defense spending, and are there any repercussions to this pause?
So the Minister of National Defense, Minister David McGuinty, will be in public avail today, so I will leave it to him to respond directly to the occurrence. But what I would like to stress is the United States is one of Canada's closest and most enduring defense allies in the world. The Joint Board was established in 1940. It's long supported strategic dialogue and cooperation on continental defense. Collective defense, however, continues every day under the aegis of NORAD and through NATO. And in terms of Canada's military spend, we reached 2% of GDP this year. We are on track to meet NATO's 5% of GDP target by 2035. We have committed $80 billion to the Canadian Armed Forces in the last federal budget, actually $82 billion in the last federal budget. We have put forward this year a defense industrial strategy, and as part of reaching the 5%, we are committing 1.5% to dual-use infrastructure, and that set of infrastructure projects, to some extent, has been identified as involving ports and roads and airports, etc. So you're going to continue to see heavy investments from the Canadian government in national defense right across the board. And I've outlined a few of the ways in which you will see that. Thank you.
Krišs Kairs from Latvian public television. Question for each of ministers, starting with Ms. Anand. Given that we are in the public, in a military sphere here, so after recent drone incidents, one of them occurred today here as well in Latvia, do you see any changes needed for Canada's military appearance here in Latvia?
So again, I will simply reiterate the strong partnership that Canada has had with Latvia through Operation Reassurance over a number of years, and in particular, moving from battle group to brigade level, extending Operation Reassurance to March 2029, and investing and working on investing on different commercial partnerships, including in the area of military infrastructure. The relationship between Canada and Latvia has been one of cooperation, and so what the foreign minister and I discussed today was that continued cooperation. Tomorrow in Estonia, we are meeting in the format of a 3+1, so the 3 Baltic countries and Canada will be meeting to discuss how we can work together on our cooperation on the eastern flank. And no doubt we will raise some of the questions that you posed in your question. And then as foreign ministers, NATO foreign ministers will all be in Sweden at the end of this week to again ensure that we are flexible enough to respond to the current threat environment. And that's exactly what we must do as foreign and defense ministers, and we'll continue to play that role as a founding member of NATO, as a trusted partner and ally with Latvia and with the Baltic states.
Jā, un Brožas kundzei jautājums, paturpinot to dezinformācijas lietu. Lietuvas prezidenta birojas šodien, pareizāk sakot, prezidenta biroja pārstāvs norādīja, ka tas varētu būt, teiksim tā, bruģēt ceļu kaut kam plašākam, kas vairs nav gluži dezinformācijas kampaņa, bet kaut kas jau nopietnāks. Vai Latvijas pusē vai spēcdienestu pusē ir arī kaut kāda informācija, ka tas varētu būt nevis vienkārši dezinformācijas kampaņa, bet jau kaut kas nopietnāks?
Ļaujiet man vēl piebilst mazliet arī par to jūsu iepriekšējo jautājumu. A little bit on the previous question on the adjustments to the air defense and the postures that we have here in Latvia. Latvia at a national level is investing huge amounts, and the the lower level air defense, the mid-range and the high range is something that we are looking to create very clearly. Having said that, these drone incidents, of course, they are not a military threat. It's an incident that happens. Most of the time it's because of Russia's war against Ukraine, Ukraine's self-defense, and then the drone gets, by electronic warfare, directed into Latvian airspace. So in that respect, indeed, it's very unnerving for the civilians. It's very unpleasant. But again, we have to be very clear that it's not a military attack. It's not a military threat in that respect. And having said that, of course, we have to be able also to identify and direct and if necessary, to take out these objects. And that will be a continuous challenge given the large borders that we have with Russia and Belarus. But also because, as we saw, it can happen from Estonian or Lithuanian airspace, because those incidents can happen also there. So this is something that the armed forces are very clear about. They are operating on that base. But as far as the military capabilities are concerned, but also training people, training the first responders, whether that's military or National Guard or border guards or others, that's the other part of the work that is happening. So we ask our inhabitants to maintain cool head and follow the directions that the services are. Krievija nav spējīga aizstāvēt savu gaisa telpu, un tā mēģina izskaidrot kaut kādas lietas ar neeksistējošām pasakām, ja, un meliem. Un mēs nekautrēsimies arī turpmāk to atklāt un skaidri to publiski pateikt.
Paldies ministriem, paldies klātesošiem un uz nākamo reizi.
I hope you enjoyed my Latvian. Sorry. I know. Sorry for that. But it was all nice about Canadians.
I just want to again thank the Canadian Armed Forces for everything you do. I'm personally so proud of you, and our country is so grateful to you for serving here in Latvia and around the world. So thank you again, and please thank your families for me.
And just for your information, Anita regularly gets my SMSs about Canadian ice hockey team, whether that's Olympics final, whether it's, the World Hockey Championship.
Yeah, friends on and off the ice.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Thanks, everyone.